much for being here this afternoon on this now dry afternoon. This is such a pleasure, and I just can't believe we're finally at this moment. My name is Erika Strassburger. I'm the City Council person for District 8 and is part of Squirrel Hill. And I'm happy to be here surrounded by those who have put so much time, so many resources, so much energy into being here, getting to this point today. This has been a long time in coming, and I don't think that at the beginning of this process I ever would have imagined that so much time and so much energy would have needed to go into a park that's not even 2 acres large. In a way, it's been like a relay race where we've been able to pass the baton from person to person to person at each phase of this development. And it all started with a neighborhood planning process initiated by Chief of Staff Dan Gilman, who was councilman at the time, as you all know. And as his Chief of Staff, I was so proud to be able to work as part of that public process, and along with so many other people who I'll mention in a moment, and help to fundraise and then pass the baton on to those who were able to offer their technical expertise in the design phase and increase the level of funding that we're able to get to the point we are today. So we were able to obtain funding from all levels of government, from local to state to actual federal levels of government, from the National Park Service and the Land and Water Conservation Fund, which is really incredible and I think unprecedented. And I think we can be incredibly proud of this landmark project that hasn't even been, we haven't even seen the fruits of our labor yet, but we're about to. This park will create more opportunities for neighborhood recreation. It will it will control stormwater, so this is actually a perfect day to be out here. If you want to go run around on the field and see how soggy it really is, it's not going to be like that anymore once we are able to, once we finish this project. It offers a host of play spaces for families and children of all abilities, and so much more. So I'd like to, before I pass the podium off to those who are with us here today, I'd like to offer thank yous. So bear with me, because there are, like I said, a lot of people to thank as part of this process. So Mayor Bill Peduto and Chief of Staff Dan Gilman, State Senator Jay Costa and Representative Dan Frankel, who assisted with the funding sources at the state level. From the Department of Public Works, Director Mike Gable, Andrea Ketzel, Tom Pollen, Chris Horenstein, and Lisa Chaffee. From City Operations, recently retired Chief of Operations Guy Costa and Alicia Carberry. From my staff, Maura Egler and Hirsch Merenstein. From PWSA, Director Bob Weimer, Megan Ziegler, James Stitt, Rory Egan. From PASHIC MTR, John Burkle, Sarah Thompson, and Elaine Kramer. From Ethos Collaborative, Barton Kirk and Damon Weiss. The Squirrel Hill Urban Coalition Board, and especially Executive Director Marion Lien and Board President Richard Fader and immediate past President Ray Baum. From City Parks, Ross Chapman and his team. Artists Allison Zapata, Maureen Cohen from OOA Collaborative, who are going to be doing the works of art here in the park. Department of City Planning's Office of Public Art and Civic Design, Jessica Guerrera and Tony Cavallin. From Carriage House, Natalie Kaplan, the founder of Carriage House, and Sharon Amick, Bob Mickle, and the Carriage House Board. Stan and Lynette Letterman. Douglas Hoppy, who is a descendant of the Wightman family himself and has been at every single public meeting here. Kathy Frankel from the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. 14th Ward Baseball, Jeff Shook and Greg Allen, and the board of 14th Ward Baseball. Dynamo Soccer, and the Disabilities Rights and Inclusion Advocates, Becky Mingo, Leah Northrup, Maria Paul, and Christina Abernathy, and Jean Clark from Alcosan. So I'm going to turn it over to some others who are here today, but I will be back to discuss exactly the aspects of the park that make it such a special park and such a special project. So without further ado, I'm happy to introduce the Mayor's Chief of Staff, Dan Gilman, who, as I mentioned, really got the ball rolling on this process when he was councilman and has been a critical part of the puzzle to bring us to where we are today.
Thank you, Councilwoman. It really is my honor to be here today with 2 hats on, both as the Mayor's Chief of Staff, but the former councilman. When I took office almost 6 years ago now and looked around District 8, you realize while the district is an incredibly vibrant district, we don't have a lot of city resources. For most of the time, there was no police or fire station, though that changed with some redistricting. We don't have a rec center. We don't have a senior center. So when it comes to capital budgets and city priorities, I came in and I said there's really two things I wanted: Wightman Park and more countdown pedestrian signal and pedestrian safety improvements at intersections. And for 4 years, that's what we focused on. And we really targeted this park. This is one of the great neighborhood gems. The East End is blessed with incredible regional parks, but Wightman is one of the great little neighborhood parks that was underutilized and underserved. It had really become primarily a baseball field and a playground for the kids at Carriage House. A playground, I would mention, that had more bees than kids playing on it, but a playground nonetheless. And we looked at this and said, it can be so much more. We knew, and I see residents and neighbors here, that we had flooding in the basements in this entire neighborhood. We knew that we lost days of baseball because of field conditions. We knew that kids weren't playing on the playground because of the bees. And we saw a chance to bring everyone together. And when you go through a community process, it can be messy, but it's the way to do it. And so we went through drawings, we went through reiterations, and with that the price tag went up. But with it came partnership, as the councilwoman said. The state, absolutely incredible support from the C2P2 program with the incredible leadership of the senator and representative behind me. And then the councilwoman took it a step further and went and got county dollars and federal dollars. And now you're going to have exactly what a regional neighborhood park should look like. Public art, green infrastructure, sports facilities, nature, city amenities. It's going to be everything that we now take and put in all 90 neighborhoods. And so I really want to thank the councilwoman and her team who took my vision, put it on steroids to a level I could never envision, and the incredible team, Andrea Ketzel and the entire Public Works team and the GI team at PWSA have really created a gem. And I cannot wait to be here for the ribbon cutting as we open this up and we really create the best neighborhood park in the city of Pittsburgh. Thank you.
And now I'm happy to introduce State Senator Jay Costa.
Thank you very much, Erika, and I'm very happy to be here today and spend some time with all of you as we begin the process of doing what needs to be done to this community park. As Dan and Erika talked about, this is a comprehensive planning process that I think came to fruition, and what was important about that is when they came to us, Dan came to us and Erika back when she was chief of staff, and later looking for resources at the state level, and knowing that the programs that we were going to be going to would be very competitive programs, and they had to put together a very comprehensive and thoughtful plan, and that's exactly what we have here. So that made it easy for us to be able to make the argument and be able to request that the resources, the DCNR and others that are part of this project. So I'm pleased to be here along with my colleague, Representative Dan Frankel. Together we advanced this measure and glad to see it come to fruition. So I appreciate the chance to be with you and look forward to coming back to spend some time with all you, of course without the bees. So thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you, Senator. And now I'm happy to introduce Representative Dan Frankel.
Thank you, Erika. It's really a pleasure to be here at this great groundbreaking, and I want to really thank Dan Gilman and Erika Strassburger for their leadership, the continuity that they had in terms of the transition, and to prioritize this project. This is a place, I'm sure Jay utilized this growing up because we grew up around the corner. It was a place I came. My late father went to Wightman School and played ball here many years ago. So this is an important part of Squirrel Hill's legacy at an important time for Squirrel Hill. And it's just a pleasure to be able to collaborate with people who know what they're doing and have come up with such a great plan. All the folks who've put together the funding to make this come to fruition. What a gorgeous project! What a great transformative idea for this place, for our neighborhood. That will be utilized for many generations of the young children we see here today. And Erika gave us a new addition who will be playing here very shortly. So congratulations to all who were involved here. Glad to be a part of helping find the resources to make it happen.
Thank you, Representative. And now someone we couldn't have done this without, Director of Public Works, Mike Gable.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman. First, the bees are more of a nuisance than a threat, so. But it's a great day. Another park is going to be renovated. And Wightman Park is going to retain a lot of its recreational assets that you've come to know. But there'll be an incorporation of new features that are going to make it much more attractive, including, a touch of nature that's going to probably look more like what you'd see in Frick Park or Shenley Park. I'm going to echo a lot of the accolades here that the others have said before. Just as a repeat, I'd be remiss if I couldn't do that. First, I do want to thank from my staff, Andrea Ketzel, who's our senior project landscape architect. From our consultant firm, Pashik and MTR, John Burkle, and Sarah Thompson, who worked diligently with us to bring this to fruition. Also want to recognize Jessica Guerra, Public Art and Civic Design Manager, who helped hold us to getting the 1% art into the parks as we continue to do that. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the most important part. I think the community members, the Athletic Association, the groups and the organizations of this community who held us to the fire and came out in strong numbers to make sure that they got what their needs were, in addition to offering design input. So to all of you, to everybody here, thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to improve a park space in Squirrel Hill. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. And now the Director of PWSA, on behalf of his whole team, Bob Weimer.
Thank you very much. First of all, I have to recognize Megan Ziegler. Megan's here, was a key part of our team, and certainly this project shows the evidence of a program that the mayor had actually proposed many years ago. And I think it's fair to say that without some of the leadership in creating the Green First program, we probably wouldn't be here today. But it's fair to say that this is just one of hundreds of opportunities for us to manage stormwater. And in this particular case, we're going to be able to manage basement backups, and we're also going to manage the combined sewer overflows that have plagued the area for so long. So it's fair to say that this is an opportunity for us to display the kinds of technology that's available today, and also to provide a better, if you will, city for Pittsburgh. That's what our goal is to try and improve the city's environment, not only here at the park, but throughout the city. So thanks again for the opportunity to work with you. We'll look forward to many more.
Thank you, Director. And last but certainly not least, Marion Leanne, the Executive Director of the Squirrel Hill Urban Coalition, who, as was mentioned, represents the community, is the embodiment of all that it takes to bring the community together, as Director Gable mentioned, to allow people to provide their voices and have a say when it comes to a public resource like this, a really important public resource and amenity. So, Marion Leanne from the Squirrel Hill Urban Coalition.
Thank you, Councilwoman. What a delight it's been to work with District 8 and so many of our city folks here to make sure that this is going to really happen. I can't believe it. Back from 2015, I think we started with master planning, and I want to say, it wasn't just one meeting. It wasn't just 2 meetings that they had with us. It was over 5. And all the individuals that Erika had mentioned, those stakeholders also had meetings with that office. So this inclusive way of making sure that this park was going to be representing the community's needs and voices is something that we should be very proud of. Thank you so much for that. The other is that, we can't be more happy that when we were saying stormwater, 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 we were heard. So to know that this project is going to incorporate some of the stormwater mitigation to making sure that our neighbors will have some of those flooding issues taken care of, that's great. That is so great. And also knowing that this will make a difference regionally, even better. So we can't wait to see what's going to happen at that ribbon cutting. And by the way, those bees, it makes a big difference for those of us who take our lunch breaks and trying to walk. It does make them a very fast trot around. Thank you.
I won't embarrass Mary to make us sing happy birthday to her, but maybe later. I just want to mention a couple of aspects of the park that we're so happy to be able to include. So one of them is inclusion. You've heard it mentioned before, but let me just put a finer point on that. This park space is going to offer play equipment for children with differing abilities, including those on the autism spectrum. That was something that we heard loud and clear from those from the disabilities rights community, especially children's rights, disabilities rights advocates, and was really important that something that then Councilman Gilman, now Chief of Staff Gilman, really championed along with Alicia Carberry, not just for this park, but in city playgrounds across the city. So we're really happy to be one of the first city parks that will have such amenities, and the bathrooms are also going to have adult changing tables for those who need that kind of service as well. Again, the first of its kind in Pittsburgh. Sustainability. The stormwater management features that you've heard mentioned were developed by PWSA and their consultants, and truly will reduce the impact on our combined sewer system and mitigate flooding that we see in streets and homes and basements all around here and on the field here. So just so that you can get a sense of that, the stormwater feature is going to capture 13 million gallons annually and will have a capacity of 400,000 gallons. So that's stormwater that will be captured underneath the field and underneath the playground, and will slow down the process of it entering our systems and overflowing into our sewers and into our rivers. So that's going to be beautified by increased landscaping and an actual wetland that you'll get to enjoy here, and an educational boardwalk feature to teach children and those of the carriage house and those who are coming here from the neighborhood about the importance of stormwater and controlling stormwater in nature. The recreation piece is also really exciting. The park shelter will be available for rent by the community, and the multi-purpose field space will play host to not just coach pitch baseball, but softball and soccer and other passive activities. And the play equipment will have 2 distinct play areas for toddlers 2 to 5 and from school-aged children from 5 to 12. So that was something we heard loud and clear that people wanted and that we're offering to the community. And the design, the project's design will utilize its location surrounded by hillsides to its advantage. So we'll have restroom facilities built into the hillside right around here, and increased landscaping, a water feature, a boulder scramble feature, and an embankment slide, which, if you can imagine, a mini version of Blue Slide Park, but as an entrance to the park right here. Probably my most, the aspect that I'm most excited about. I hope to be the first one to go down that slide when it's maybe with Evan when he's a little bit older. And it's also, as mentioned, is going to offer beautiful artwork as part of the city's commitment to public art, designed by OOA collaborative artist Allison Zapata and Oreen Cohen. So those are just a few of the aspects. If you're at all interested in learning more, we have a lot of people who can talk to you about that here today. If you also Google Wightman Park, you'll be able to find probably the first item that pops up is going to be a description of all of these elements and some visuals to tell you a little bit more about the park. But without further ado, let's get this show on the road. Let's get over to the shovels and break ground so that we can get on to construction, and then sooner rather than later we can have a ribbon cutting and be done with this whole process and see this beautiful park. So we're going to move over to the shovels right here. But thank you again for being here today, and thank you all for your involvement.